Welcome back to the character creation menu. So now that I've got my guy, he looks a bit like that, nice and purple with a little beard. We go back over here to our options and we have a look at class. Now, if you are playing for the very first time, you should probably think about playing a warrior. The advantages of the warrior are that he has some good armor at the start, he's got a nice sword, long sword's a very good weapon, 100% physical damage reduction with the shield. And it's, you know, did you have a look at the levels there? It's only level 4, so it's only a youngie. Good vitality, good endurance, and strength and dex both at 13. Intelligence and faith both at 9s, and attunement at 8, so not really a magic user yet. But of course remember that you can take any starting class and turn it into anything you want later on, so you're not really hamstrung by that. The advantage of this straight out of the box is that you've got a lot of strength and a lot of dexterity. So if you're going for what's called a quality build, which is a build with lots and lots and lots of with weapons that rely on dexterity and strength, then you need high dexterity. The next is the Knight. This is more of a tank. So you can see the Knight's got a nice kite shield there. That's 100% physical damage reduction. Really good armor. Too heavy, unfortunately. You'll be fat rolling, and I'll explain what that means later, straight out of the box. But if you have a look at the vitality, it's up at 14, which is quite high. So you're not going to die easily. This again is perhaps, I think, less effective, even though it has more vitality. You can see the advantage of the Knight, 10 attunement and 11 faith, which means you could actually pick up the talisman and buy the heal spell and very quickly have a Knight that is able to cast a heal spell just like a cleric. The Wanderer, for dex builds, you can see the dexterity is right up at 14. Wielding a scimitar. Scimitar's a nice, sharp, dexterity-based weapon, and a little parry shield there. Only level 3, which is great because you've got a lot of room to move. 11 attunement and 11 intelligence, which means you've got a good chance of being able to cast sorceries really early in the game as well if you want, like Soul Arrow and things of that nature. The Thief, straight up and down dexterity build for experienced players who love playing thieves. You know who you are. It comes out with a bandit knife, and the thing about a dagger, or you know, that sharp dagger there, is it does particularly good damage for backstabs and ripostes, which are called critical hits. But aside from that, not that great. Bandit. Endurance at 14, strength at 14, who cares about dexterity, resistance at 11, and faith at 10, which means out of the box, your bandit has an attunement of 8, which is unfortunate because you have to take it to 10 before you could wield a spell. The advantage of the bandit, twofold. One is that shield, 100% physical reduction, and really good against poison. So there are plenty of areas of poison in the game, and that shield's great for them. Really high strength and really high endurance, which we need because we're going to wield just a giant weapon. So we're looking for strength and endurance. Only level 4, which is great, and vitality up at 12. So the bandit is definitely a good option for us. Hunter, again, this is a dexterity build with a bit of strength thrown in, possibly for a Baldur's side sword, and you can see there that the Hunter's got the leather shield, which is actually a pretty good shield to start the game with. Okay wielding, and the Hunter comes with a bow and arrow, so that could be very helpful at the start of the game to be able to use a bow. Because otherwise you have to have the dexterity to pick one up later on. Sorcerer speaks for itself. Very high intelligence, very high attunement, terrible starting gear. That dagger is particularly hopeless, and so is that shield. So very quickly you're going to want to get some cool gear for the sorcerer. However, there's plenty around, and so you could start off as a sorcerer there. You're going to largely be relying upon your intelligence. And if you want to cast sorceries in Dark Souls 1, remember that your dexterity actually affects how fast you're able to cast sorceries, which is what it's all about. And the sorcerer is the sort of character who kind of hangs back and flings soul arrows at people. Pyromancer is great fun if you're looking at doing pyromancy build. Level 1, nice young tiny little build. 12 attunement, 12 strength, 12 resistance, which means out of the box you can be flinging fireballs around the place, and that's a good thing. comes with an axe, which is not at all bad, and it comes with the pyromancy glove. Now, in Dark Souls, you don't get a chance to pick up the pyromancy glove until much later, unless you had started life as a pyromancer. So if you really do want to be flinging fireballs around, you should start as this guy. Now remember, it's only level 1, so you could easily chuck a couple of points into faith and get yourself a heal spell, or you could chuck a couple of points into strength and be up there near the bandit and still only be at level 3. So it's a very good option. Deprived, naked, butt naked, with a club and a old plank shield which does a nice charge. Now this is a fan favourite and it's for very experienced players, but I don't like it because in Dark Souls, this original Dark Souls, you're forced to take 11s across the board, so you're going to have 11 in a whole bunch of stats that perhaps you really don't care about. So in our case, we don't care about dexterity. Couldn't care less about it, don't want to know. So I don't want the extra 2 points in dexterity, I don't want the extra points in intelligence. Now finally we can have a look here at the cleric. Now the advantage of the cleric, only level 2. Remember the bandit is level 4. The cleric's only level 2 and has 12 strength, so if we put a couple more strengths into that, we're up there with the bandit. But the endurance is only at 9. Which is not amazing for us at all. And the advantage of the cleric is, out of the box, he starts with the heal spell and quite a good bit of faith, 14 faith, which is nice. However, for us, endurance is key. It's really important for us to think that we're going to be able to, because endurance in this game is all about how fast your stamina regenerates, how much you can carry, those sorts of things. So what we're going to start with is the bandito. We're going to start with the bandit and start with that axe. Now that axe is pretty good. It's nowhere near as good as that. However, we're going to do a few little tricks and suicide runs at the start of the game designed to help us pick up. So we're going to start with the bandit. Gifts. None of them are of any use whatsoever except this one, the Master Key. The other ones, these are things that you're just given at the start of the game if you want. This one just restores some hit points. Black fire bombs are only useful at the very start of the game if you really want to run a build specifically using the Demon's Great Hammer, which is not, as, in my opinion, as good as the Demon's Great Axe, but the Demon's Great Hammer, where you can use the firebombs to kill the demon that we're going to meet soon when you first encounter it. If you do that, it will always drop that hammer, and the only way to do that at the starting level is by flinging black firebombs at it and just hoping for the best. Twin humanities you pick up throughout the game. Binoculars are useful, but you find them in the game. Pendant is of no use whatsoever, and we're going to go with the Master Key because this one, a small increase to hit points, but who cares? And the Old Witch's Ring, which may improve. It's possible that it does something with pyromancy. Doesn't look at all sure that it will. So you want the Master Key because that's going to open up lots and lots and lots of doors all through the game to make life just heaps easier. It's also going to enable us to approach the game in a different than a sort of slightly linear way. So we're going to go with that. That's our build to start off. Got ourselves a bandit. You can see he's only got 10 faith. We will be lifting that up. We will be lifting 2 points of attunement so we can cast a healing spell early in the game. And once you are happy with all of those details, remember you can't change them. They are what they are forever now. So we're going to hit accept. Start the game with this character.
In the age of ancients, the world was unformed, shrouded by fog. A land of grey crags, arch trees, and everlasting dragons. But then there was fire, and with fire came disparity.
Oh.
Heat, then cold, life, then death, and of course...
So disparity are the binaries that split the nothingness into somethingness. A lovely Taoist idea of the way.
From From the dark
the yin and the yang,
they came
light and the dark.
and found the souls of lords within the flame. Nito, the first of the dead. The Witch of Izalith and her daughters of chaos. Gwyn, the Lord of Sunlight, and his faithful knights. And the furtive pygmy, so easily forgotten. With the strength of lords, they challenged the dragons.
Oh, nice. And there we have. We want to be doing that. We'll be doing a little bit of that.
Witches weaved great firestorms. Nito unleashed a miasma of death and disease.
Ew.
And Seath, the scaleless, betrayed
That's a
and
lot.
the dragons were no more.
Look at all those dead dragons. Seath, what have you done?
Thus began the age of fire. But soon the flames will fade, and only dark will remain.
And there's that little ember. That's
Even
us.
now, there are only embers,
There's a firekeeper.
and man sees not light, but only endless nights. And amongst the living are seen carriers of the accursed dark side.
Ew. And we're now beginning life, beginning the game in our dungeon.
Yes, indeed. The dark sign brands the undead. And in this land, the undead are corralled and led to the north. Where they are locked away to await the end of the world.
And there we are.
This is your fate.
I got my colour wrong. It's okay, we'll sort it out. Someone has thrown a body in there. What's going on? Alright, here we are. Now the first thing you need to know is what the controls do. So on a PlayStation, the circle is your roll. R1 is your right attack. R2, your heavy attack. L1, punch. L2, parry. Pick up the key, and you can only just walk straight out of here. Now I'm not going to read all of these, but as I'm walking, you can walk straight ahead slowly. If you push forward on the joystick, you walk, you jog. If while you're jogging you press the button, you roll, and if while you're jogging you press and hold the button, you run. We don't want to do any of those things. We want to get out of here. When you approach a ladder, hit climb up, and then you have to push up with the joystick. Now remember, unlike all the previous Dark Souls games, holding circle while climbing doesn't actually speed up how fast you climb the ladder at all. When you get to a bonfire, light it. Now if you rest at a bonfire, you can see there's a whole bunch of places for different bits of information. At the moment we can only leave. Later on we'll be able to do tons more than that at a bonfire. Open this up. And in here, that demon up there, you can just see him. There he is. He's holding the demon's hammer. This is that point where if you had the black fire bombs, you're going to have to stay in that room when he jumps down and defeat him right now. However, we're not going to do that. We're going to run over there where that lamp is, and there's a door that will close really quickly after we get to it. So come over here, run through, and then bam, the door closes, and you can see he's in there looking pretty grouchy. If you hang around that door looking at him, he can actually hit you with the hammer, so you know, be careful. Light the other bonfire and run through here. Now, through this section here, we've got a dude flinging arrows at us. So dive into this room. Your shield will be there. Let's immediately equip it. Boom. And he will run away like the cowardly zombie he is. Grab your battle axe and equip that. Okay, now we're looking pretty bandity. One hand. Now if you want, you can see that we are doing 107 damage like that. If we two-hand by pressing triangle, you can see we're now doing 120 damage, so it's much more. However, we've now taken an arrow to the shoulder. Nobody likes an arrow to the shoulder. Through the white fog. Big difference between Dark Souls original and now you see with the added stuff, we're no longer fast rolling. So if you watch how I roll here, it felt slow and clumsy. But if I take off my gloves, I roll further and I roll faster. And that's about weight. So if we have a look at my weight, you can see that I've got 13 out of 54. If you're anything heavier than 25%, you will what's called medium roll, and then if you're heavier than 50%, you will fat roll. We want to be fast rolling. Now we need to get in there. We can't, but if you look up there, there's a giant metal ball, and it's gonna roll down. So climb up a bit up the stairs till it starts rolling, then just get out of the way, come in here and talk to our first NPC of the game.
Oh, you. You're no hollow. Thank goodness. I'm done for, I'm afraid. I'll die soon, then lose my sanity. You and I, we're both undead. Hear me out, please. Regrettably, I have failed in my mission, but perhaps you can keep the torch lit. There is an old saying in my family, thou who art undead art chosen, and thine exodus from the undead asylum maketh pilgrimage to the land of ancient lords. When thou ringest the bell of awakening, the fate of the undead thou shalt know. Well, now you know. And I can die with hope in my heart. Oh, one more thing. Here, take this. An Estus flask. An undead favorite. Oh, and this. Now I must bid farewell. I would hate to harm you after death. So go now, and thank you.
Well, he says he'd hate to harm us after death, but he's gonna. And that's the ball that fell. Nice rusted iron ball. Trap. Lots of traps everywhere. As you come out here, that sound, that's the sound of someone dying, and you can see he has now died. And will now become an undead. And the next time we come back here, he will be a vicious bastard who wants to kill us. Oh well, these things happen. Oh, I can't... Honestly, backstabs in this game... Okay, you've got the key, so use it here. And now we're going to boogie out of here. There's if you were the cleric, then you're going to pick up your talisman just there. And there's a little bit of a trappy poos around the corner. Oh, I hate it when they do that. They do the 4,000 little shots. And, you know, Legolas there, sending 50 arrows through. Thanks, mate. Come through the white light. And plunge attack by hitting R1 when you fall on him. And you got a good chance of actually doing a bit of damage. Oh, or he can just hit you. Heaps. So roll out of the way, out of the way, out of the way. And drink some Estus. Heal up again. And come back. And just keep whacking him till he goes away. One more should do it. There we are. And he's dead. Most of the starting classes should be able to easily dispatch him, but remember, one of the easiest ways to dispatch him is to ensure that you use the plunging attack at the start. You'll do a third to half the damage there. So click open, use the big pilgrim's key, and come on in. There's nothing here to see, nothing here to look at except just the view. If we look out there, we're clearly up in some Alps somewhere. So, and you will, if you fall off there, you'll die. So don't do that. We will come back later to have a look at that little nest. That'll become important later on. And we're going to walk up here through the snow. You can hear us going through ice and snow. Get to this point, and we have our first big cutscene.
Only in the ancient legends it is stated that one day an undead shall be chosen. To leave the undead asylum in pilgrimage to the land of the ancient lords. Lordran.
And now we are being taken by the crow. Perhaps you recognise some of these buildings from Dark Souls 3? Maybe not this bit though. Now here we are at Lordran, and we're going to simply walk up to the main bonfire where you can level up, etc. And this is going to be one of the central places in our game. Rest of the bonfire, and I'll join you next episode.